Welcome back to my channel, YouTube, here at AZ Ruction, where we talk about my life, my experiences, the people I've met, and how I've dealt with them. So if you're new to the channel, please go ahead, give it a like, give it a comment, give it a subscribe, and please, man, get at that bell notification so you get all this good new content coming your way. And as always, if you or somebody you know is having an addiction problem and you'd like to get them or yourself some help, please let me know down in the comments, and I'll do my best to try and get you as much help as I possibly can. With that being said, let's move on. All right. Today, we got an interesting one. Today, we're going to be talking about the Perve Shackle. Now, the Perve Shackle, that was a trophy bike for the individuals. They killed the most pedophiles for the unnamed organization, which was mainly focused at Midnight Productions. A lot of whispers had it that there was about 20 bikes that were made allegedly by none other than the famous frame maker, Dave Sunday. Legend isn't so much, did he build the bike? But did he build the bike for what it was used for? What its purpose was? It wasn't used just as a bike. This was a trophy bike. So, there was 20 of them made. Each one of them was different in their own right, as the paint jobs and the add-ons and shit like that. Those things were each custom and each different. The name Perve Shackle was hidden in each of the custom paint jobs bikes. So it wasn't like, it wasn't like on the paint job that it said, just said right in front of your face, Perve Shackle, the Perve Shackle. It was hidden in there and you had to see it. But once you seen it, you could never unsee it. It was, it was crazy. But, allegedly they were shipped to, 20 different, various organizations for the sole purpose of that being the trophy bikes of all trophy bikes. Thus, the Perve Shackle was born, and its unique legend that will later follow it, forever will. Personally, Sunday's always been one of my favorite bikes. I've been BMXing my whole life, so I've had tons and tons of different bikes, and out of all of them, Sunday's my number one, Sabrosa's my number two. I love Fit, Stolen, all those. I ride a whole bunch. I've owned several DKs, all kinds of stuff. So out of all of them, I've always loved Sunday bikes. And plus, Dave Sunday was from the original Sunday, he made his original Sunday bikes. He started in Arizona. I think later on he moved to Germany, or he moved somewhere like that. But for those, so what I'm saying is you can imagine being a huge Sunday fan. At that time I was on the streets running a gun when I heard about this. Plus it was one of my favorite bikes. It was just crazy. It was like, you can imagine how I felt inside to know that there was a bike floating around town that was worth about 15 grand. It was actually priceless because of what it was actually meant for. Now, if you guys don't know, Phoenix is the bike theft capital of the U.S. And, in Arizona, especially in that Phoenix, in those sub-cities like Glendale, Mesa, Tolleson, Avondale, Peoria, all those places, all those little sub-cities, especially 20-inch and 24-inch, it really is an underground way of life there. Like, it's crazy, you know what I mean? And if you're around the streets and you see an individual, he's got a 20-inch bike frame, he's got his hat turned backwards, and he's got a backpack on, I'm telling you, 8 out of 10 times, he's more than likely moving and grooving, and, just in case, if you want to know if they can actually ride that dude right, look at the seat. Always start by judging the seat. Is it real high? Or is it down low, close to the frame? If you know what I'm talking about, then you know what I'm talking about. But let me know down in the comments if you actually know what I'm talking about, How does that make a difference? sunny slope. Well, I mean, we call it the slopes for short. Hey, it was buzzing like no other. It was buzzing so much that people were actually putting bounties out on the bike, and they were paying, in dope, cash. A lot of times they were doing both. That's how much the bike was wanted. Like a shit ton of people were putting out all these little, bounties trying to get this bike. And I mean, it just became, not many people were willing to do it. Weren't there? Not many people, who wants to go steal a bike that was a trophy bike that was given to a certain individual in a certain organization that got it for hunting down specifically Midnight Productions people and, pedophiles. I mean, he's already a certified killer, right? I mean, obviously, you know what I mean? So ain't nobody really want to do that. But as always, as we all know, there's always going to be that one individual. In this case, there were 4. 2 of them were killed. The first one, I actually knew him personally, and it was crazy because I had literally just got done talking to this dude like 10, 15 minutes prior to him being killed at the bus stop. I had no idea that he was actually sitting on the actual Perve Shackle. I had no idea. Nobody had seen this bike. This was all shit that we had just heard about. But it stood out. That was why I went over there and went and talked to him. You know what I mean? I was like, damn, we were looking at the bike. It had the craziest airbrush job, paint job on it. It said Sunday on it. It was crazy. I'd never seen a BMX bike that had so much work and detail and whatnot put into it. And you could hear that click on the back. Whoa, boy, you could hear that click from 3 blocks away. You know what I mean? It was fucking, it was a beautiful thing. That bike was very clean, but I had no idea it was the Perve Shackle. 10, 15 minutes later, I was, the bus stop was next to Circle K. I was in Circle K for a while, hanging out with my homie in there that I knew that worked there, and, we heard a bunch of shots go, bah, 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 bah. Well, it turned out later on that he had actually stole that bike from the individual who had gotten that bike from that person. That person lived in Mesa. And it made sense. There was a lot of guys from Mesa that were asking around, certain things. I'm not going to describe them and shit, kind of gives it away, but yeah, they were it was crazy, but we didn't know that that's necessarily what it was for. We had heard that it had been stolen, and it was on the lookout for it. But I didn't think he took it. He ended up getting killed and shot at the bus stop over it. And the second person, about a week later, I'm gonna say about a week later, the second person, they were actually shot and stabbed over it because they ended up stealing the bike. I don't know how they ended up getting the bike. It was like a week later, but that person stole the bike. Obviously from the person who had it before. Then there was a third individual who had stolen the bike. After they had got beaten up and the bike was taken, that same car or truck or whatever it was, I don't remember. I didn't know them. We just heard about it later on. Like a couple weeks later, 3 weeks, 4 weeks later. All this was happening all around in this, in like a 2-month period. Like all this shit's been going on in like a 2-month period with this bike. And but they got ran over with the the vehicle. Speed bumped. And but they ended up actually living. Then the fourth person who had actually stole it from the individual who was actually giving it back to the person who owned it, my best friend actually stole it from that dude. And when he had pulled up, he was all masked up and had his hat on and glasses, and it was one of those flex moments where people knew who it was, But they couldn't, you know, nobody was going to be able to just say, yeah, it's blase, blase, blase. Because he was all, you know, masked up and shit. And I remember when he rode up to me and I seen that bike, I was like, holy shit. I mean, you could literally hear it from 2 or 3 blocks away. I had no idea it was going to be that bike. He ended up just having it for a few hours. Because he ended up actually ditching it because he was so terrified of being killed over it. But it was worth it enough to him to manage to get the bike, ride around on it, you know, as a flex. We all knew the person that he actually stole it from. He was actually well known in the streets, the person he stole it from. And, well, he ended up finding out later on. And, I mean, like, it was like 6 months later. Me and my homie were chilling at the this apartment complex. And this individual and about 5 or 6 others pulled up, you know, and they were just like, hey, John, we got words with this man right here, you know, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, whew. I'm looking at him like, damn, he knows, you know what I mean? And that's what it was. He beat his ass with a bat. Long story short on that one. But he didn't die. He didn't die. At least he got that much. You know, he didn't die. Yeah, it was just crazy. It went, you know, about 6 or so months after all this crazy madness shit. I had never really even heard about the bike ever again. It was like it just disappeared, like it vanished. And you guys got to remember that, especially at that time, Midnight Productions was very heavy over there on that side of town. Who knows? They could have took that bike. You know what I mean? Because there was a lot of people that were after that bike. Like I said, people were willing to kill for that bike. And it's almost like it was almost like a slap in the face. Now, whether or not, you know, Dave Sunday actually made the bike, nobody ever knows that, really. You know what I mean? Definitely wasn't something that was public, so never know. But he was from Arizona. He did have a lot of ties to the streets, so like over there. You know what I mean? I've heard his name from before. So he brushed shoulders. That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? So it's not completely far off, because this was, you know, it was a while ago. It's not completely far off that that's what happened. But nonetheless, lives were lost over this bike. I mean, I've seen a lot of people die over bikes in Phoenix as it is. I've seen people get stabbed. It's crazy. I've seen you would steal somebody's bike, and they take it so personal that they come rob you for everything you have because they feel like you're taking, you know, a certain part of them. It's a crazy little bike community out there. It's a real strong BMX community too. But yeah, hey, that's the story about the Perve Shackle and its connection with Midnight Productions. So, if y'all like that content, please go ahead, give it a like, give it a comment, give it a subscribe, and get at that bell notification so that you can get all this new content coming your guys' way. Got a lot of good stuff coming. Peace.